I'm just waiting. It's like shaking. Okay. So you can just get into it, and then I'll get your attention once that stops.
Okay. Alrighty. Hi there. Can you just introduce yourself to the camera, please? If it's easier, I'll stand over here next to the camera, and you can just talk to me. I know the light's kind of big and distracting.
It's really bright too.
Yeah.
I'm Snipy.
Nice to meet you.
You too. I used to be called the hyper host, but I don't think that applies anymore.
What does that mean?
Well, it used to be because, well, when Sarah first created me, I used to host some of the videos that she would do, and I used to be a lot more hyper.
Okay.
Hyperer.
Cool.
So I used to be Snipy the hyper host, but I don't think I'm hosting so much anymore, and I'm definitely not as hyper anymore.
Well, you know, the whole reason we thought we would film this with you is because you have such an interesting perspective.
Oh.
So we thought maybe this would work on like the O Network or something. We're not really sure. We're thinking of pitching it somewhere.
Oh, I don't watch a lot of the O Network. Is that like Oprah?
That's exactly what it is, yeah.
Oh.
So, you know Oprah? Oprah now has her own network.
I'm more of an Ellen person myself.
That sounds a bit problematic.
Is there an E Network?
Yeah, there's E! News.
Oh, I don't know very much about human news. I haven't been here very long.
Right. How long have you been here?
Just recently, actually. I beamed down, and I'm taking up residence in this lovely bathtub, because the people who live here are so generous, and they're letting me stay.
Yes, we noticed that they offered to let you rent the entire house on Airbnb.
Well, I didn't exactly need an entire house, but the bathtub is good.
Why the bathtub?
Well, it's sunken and cozy, and when you turn off the lights, it's really dark, and it's nice. Sometimes it's really bright here, but the darkness is nice.
Uh-huh. So, okay, Snipey, I have a couple of topics here just to talk to you about, and then we thought this would be good for your little audition tape. So, I'm just going to list off a category, and then when you're good to move on talking about that category, just let me know, and we'll go on to the next one.
Okay, like I said, I don't know that much about this planet. It's been a while since I've been here.
For sure.
And when I was last here, I was actually just a kid. So I'll see what I can do, but no promises.
No worries. I mean, I think we're just trying to get your interpretation of it. So it doesn't have to be accurate.
Okay.
It just has to be whatever you think it is.
Oh, okay.
Right, okay. So we're in the bathroom, right? So let's do something relating to the bathroom. What is your take on brushing teeth, Snipey?
Oh. Well, I guess it's a thing that humans need to do. I think it's part of getting ready for bed. I think it's like how when cats clean themselves and it like relaxes them and it gets them ready to go to sleep.
Do you know what it is?
Well, I guess it's to get the fuzzy stuff off them, right?
What do you mean?
Well, 'cause like, I think teeth, they grow fuzz over the day and then you have to get it off, 'cause otherwise the dentist isn't nice to you, and they call them furry fairies, and they say you need to get rid of them. But I think furry fairies sound really cute.
Okay, so Snipey, for example, do you know what a toothbrush is?
Well, yeah, that's what you use to get the fuzz off.
Here, if I throw one at you, can you examine it here?
Okay.
Good catch.
Oh, this one's different colors.
Yeah.
Ooh, it's got a thingy on the back too.
Yes, I guess it does.
Oh.
So, do you have something like this on your home planet?
No, we don't get fuzzies on our teeth.
Okay. That's okay.
I'm sorry, I'm not very good at throwing things.
No, don't worry about it. Okay, so do you think you're ready to move on from brushing teeth?
I think so. Was that good enough?
No, that was great. You're doing a good job.
Okay.
Was that your first experience with a toothbrush?
Well, I guess firsthand, yeah. I'm more familiar with the idea of it than I suppose actually doing it.
Okay, cool.
So, yeah, I guess I haven't seen one that close before, and certainly not those colors. I thought they were other colors.
Okay. Our next topic was submitted to us by a viewer. His name is Jonathan. He wants you to talk about rice. I don't actually have an example of that here for me, but do you know what rice is?
I think you grow it from the ground.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people eat it.
Yeah.
I think it's what's called a diet staple. In a lot of nations around the earth, which I think means that that's what they eat most of.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate.
I mean, I haven't seen a lot of it, but it looks pretty plain. I don't know how people spend their lives eating just that.
Well, I'm sure that a lot of cultures mix it with other things. So just because it's a diet staple doesn't mean it's the sole thing in someone's diet. It's kind of a base.
Well, that sounds nice. I know the Irish eat a lot of potatoes. And apparently you don't need much else besides potatoes, because apparently it has a lot of nutrients in it.
I mean, I would recommend that you feed your body what it needs. So you can refer to any mix of the food groups and find a balance that works for you. Maybe it's different for aliens there. Who's that?
Oh, it's Bonsai.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's been around the block too. We've only just been reunited with each other.
Oh, cool. Okay, do you want to do the next topic here, Snipy?
Sure.
Alrighty, so why don't we talk about travel? Travel's something
Oh.
you've had experience with firsthand, right?
Yes, but I think it's a little different here.
Yeah?
Well, first of all, I think the biggest difference is in this dimension you have to travel laterally, which is not the most efficient way to get somewhere, but I understand because, well, humans are as advanced as they are. But they have airplanes now, which is a lot faster, and it goes in the sky, which is really nice. And people like road trips, even though that's probably the least efficient of all.
It's a nice way to see the scenery, some might say.
Oh yeah, that's true.
You can also transport things through road trips that you might not necessarily be able to transport in other means.
Oh, not the kind of transport we have, though.
What kind of transport do you rely on?
Well, it's more interdimensional, and it's more instantaneous. So here you have to travel in a straight line to get where you need to go, and you have to travel every inch of space between those two places. But we can just kind of step through things.
Do you have a machine that does that?
No, we just know how to do it. The only machine is that Sarah used to call me on this phone. It was this headset that she would put on, and she used to call out to me when she wanted me to come and visit, and I could get there pretty quickly.
Interesting. Alrighty, do you think you're good to move on?
Sure.
Okay, so we've done travel, we've done brushing teeth, and we've done rice. What about shoes? Do you wear shoes, Snipey?
Oh, no, I can't say that I do, but we do have socks in case our feet get cold. But no, we can hover on my planet, so we don't really need to wear shoes. I think they're a little bit clumpy.
Do you hover from room to room then?
Yeah, we can hover anywhere.
Do you hover at all times?
Not at all times.
How do you avoid your feet getting dirty?
We don't have dirt on our planet.
Oh, interesting. Do you think you could name some different types of shoes here? There's a lot.
Yes. Well, see, I don't know, because I tried putting my toes in this one pair of shoes, and they squished really badly. But the inside was fuzzy, so that was nice. I don't know what they were called. They were blue, and they had white fuzz inside. But they did up with these stringy things that had no way to go together. I don't know how other people do it.
Shoelaces?
Maybe.
Okay.
And then there's another kind of shoe that you can see your toes so they don't get all squishy. And you usually wear them when they're warm. And it's funny, the way seasons work here is it's warm in some places and then cold in others, but then it switches and then it gets cold in that place and warm in the other place.
Yes, that's our equator. Do you not have an equator on your planet?
Well, it's not that we don't have an equator. I think it might have something to do with our tilt. But we have different seasons in the different parts of the planets, and they're always that season all the time. So if you're too cold, you just walk over to the other season.
Sounds like your Earth is tilted in the same direction constantly.
I don't know. I didn't do a lot of science.
I mean, me either, but interesting. Next topic, Snipey?
Okay.
Sure. Why don't we talk about the wilderness?
Oh.
We have a lot of wild terrain that is unexplored by humans or unconquered, where we haven't expanded to yet.
Oh.
That's what we refer to as the wilderness.
Now, see, that's an interesting concept. Because I suppose it makes sense, because humans think that whatever they haven't experienced is foreign and wild, but that's actually the way the planet was originally before they got here and before they made it more human-y. So I actually think they've got it backwards a little bit, because I think the wilderness is just what the planet's supposed to be, and I think what the humans have done, I think that's the foreign thing. But I guess it's not foreign to them. I don't know.
Is most of your planet unconquered then?
Oh, we don't conquer anything. We think that's barbaric, but I'm not judging because I'm here and I don't want to judge the locals. But humans are very confusing and I think they're awfully kind of violent. And I don't understand a lot of the things that they do.
Well, I'm not here to hurt you. Do you want to move on?
Sure.
Okay. Our next one is driving.
Oh.
Have you driven before, Snipy?
No, but when I was younger, and Sarah was going on an adventure with her grandparents, and she called me over, and I rode on her head, and she went on a train, and the train took them to a museum, and it had a lot of paintings, but I had to stay close out of the crowd so I didn't get lost, so that's why I rode on her head, but we went on a train, and that was interesting, because it seems to go very fast, but it doesn't actually go very fast at all, and it travels laterally. But there were a lot of people that day, and they were all going into a theater. Oh, and Sarah explained to me that they were going into a theater to see a show, which was people pretending to do something and other people get to watch them.
That's some form of a show, yeah? There's a lot of different kinds. Do you not have performances where you come from?
I suppose not in that form. I think it's the way humans communicate higher ideas to each other, but I feel like the language that they're working with is more limited, so I think that's what they have to use, but as long as it works, I think it's very innovative.
So you don't have performance art on your planet. Do you have other forms of art?
Other forms of art? Well,
you know what a painting is. You mentioned painting.
yes. Well, I think humans use art to communicate something that's inside of them that they can't communicate any other way because they only have words.
But your kind doesn't need that.
No, because we have more than words. So I think if there's something inside us, I think we can more effectively communicate that with our other members of our kind.
How do you communicate that?
That's why we have our antenna.
Oh, do you communicate telepathically?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, cool.
It's for our sixth sense. And humans have sixth sense too. But because they don't have antenna, it's much weaker than ours and it's more of a partial sense.
It's also by M. Night Shyamalan.
What's that?
It's a director.
Oh,
Have you seen movies before?
I suppose I've seen a couple, but not recently. Some of them are interesting. It's kind of like going on a grand circle tour of Earth without actually having to go anywhere.
And it's another art form.
Okay.
So, back to driving here for a second. Would you be interested in learning how to drive? Do you have spaceships that you drove on your home planet?
No, we didn't need spaceships because we can levitate.
Right.
And then we can just step into wherever we need to go.
Does it take a long time to travel your planet then?
No, not at all. You can just go wherever you need to go, whenever you need to go. That's why driving seems awfully inefficient to me. And people hit each other a lot. They run into each other. And sometimes it's fun. Like there was this fun fair and they had cars and they hit each other on purpose.
Those are a little different. They're smaller scale, so people can't really get hurt.
That's true. They didn't really get hurt, but it was loud. But Sarah liked it.
Sometimes we have car accidents, but those are usually when someone was paying attention or because of the weather. And so people don't normally do that for fun. It's dangerous.
No, I didn't think so. But yes, it seems like a lot can go wrong. And if people aren't paying attention, that's just silly. I don't think we have enough senses on this planet to pay proper attention when you're operating a vehicle that's that large.
That's fair. But we don't have the ability to travel the way you do, so driving is pretty efficient for the everyday person.
I suppose so, but it still has a lot of problems, I suppose.
Okay, why don't we talk about the concept of relationships of any kind?
Oh.
Do you have relationships on your home planet?
Yes.
What forms do you have them in? And what have you observed of the relationships here on Earth?
Well, see, that's interesting. Because I think humans have a lot in common with us in that regard. But once again, I feel like the way you go about it here is slightly less efficient. Not always, though. I have witnessed a few exceptions to that. But for the most part, it seems like even in everyday life, even when you're not pursuing a relationship, people are in hiding to some extent. And they don't like people to see who they really are inside. So they cover it up somehow. And maybe it's because it's too scary for people to see how you really feel or who you really are, especially if you're not used to communicating telepathically. That would seem strange to you. So the relationships, it seems like there's a lot of people in hiding a lot of the time, and in order to have a proper relationship, you both have to be comfortable enough to let each other see each other. But we don't have to overcome that. We just see each other as we are whenever we are. So if we're affectionate with each other, with people we just met, it doesn't matter because we already know who we are. And it doesn't necessarily mean that we're in a long-term relationship with them. It could just be like how you have hugs. It doesn't have to be serious, it can just be nice. Or cuddles. But we have romantic relationships too. It just seems like there's a lot more steps you have to go through on this planet to figure out if you like each other, but also I think to stop filtering yourself so much, because we don't really have those kinds of, I don't know, shields.
Does a alien individual as yourself or of your kind go through several romantic relationships in one lifetime, or do they end up having an assigned partner or something like soulmates? Do you know what a soulmate is?
Yes.
Okay.
We have different kinds of soulmates, just to different extents. So yes, we can have several relationships in a lifetime, but of all different sizes and shapes and kinds. So like on this planet, you've broken it up into friendships, romantic relationships, parental relationships, sibling relationships. We kind of mix and match a lot, and it depends on who we run into and who we are to each other. Sometimes it lasts a long time, sometimes it doesn't. But I think a true soulmate is one that exists on all those different levels simultaneously. But I think that's very similar to what you have here too.
If it's something that someone believes in, yeah. We also here have the prospect of a best friend, which is your platonic relationship with someone who is your favorite.
Oh, well, that sounds kind of nice.
You don't have anything like that?
Well, we do. We just don't have assigned names for them because we don't really have to establish what we are to each other because we already know. So I think here you've had to turn it into words to explain to yourself and to each other what your relationship is and what your relationship status is. But I think we have a better understanding, like more instinctive, organic understanding.
On your planet, what is it like when two individuals decide to end a relationship? For example, here, if a romantic relationship comes to an end, we call it a breakup. And it's very often common for for both parties of the relationship to not necessarily get along after that.
Yeah, that's something that saddens me a lot about this planet. Is that there's a lot of loneliness here and a lot of isolation. And I think a large part of it is because you don't know how to use your sixth sense properly. And you can't because you don't have your antenna. But I think another part of it is because you use your shields. So on our planet, relationships never truly end. We just kind of go in and out of our lives. But that doesn't mean that there was anything wrong with the relationship. It just means that some of us are ready to move on to other relationships. But it's not as violent as it is on this planet.
So when your relationships come to a conclusion, or I guess when you aren't necessarily in need of it in that form anymore, there's no resentment.
Oh, no. No, we're not in each other's lives if we don't need to be. Because I think we all recognize that we can learn and grow from each other. And sometimes it's just in passing. Sometimes it's just nice. Sometimes it's just nice to have a connection with someone.
A lot of the time, the way we humans feel is that if someone has hurt us, it is acceptable to cut them out of our lives.
That's
You
upsetting.
don't have a concept of that?
No, because we don't hurt each other.
Interesting.
I think that's a distinctly human concept that I've been trying to reconcile myself with. Because some of my best friends are humans.
All right, Snipey, we've come to our last topic for the day.
I wanted to ask you a little bit about school. Do you know what it is? Do you have it on your planet? And are you considering attending any form of education here on ours to learn more about our planet?
Oh, that's an interesting question. Well, I know what school is because Sarah used to go there. That's when she would call me a lot of the time. When she was outside. I think that was when they didn't have classes, but they went outside and they used to play things.
That's recess. So that is a break between classes to give kids a little breather.
Oh, well, I mean, they're in the fresh air, so of course they're going to be breathing a little easier. Yeah, so I think the way humans have it is they've created a sufficiently complicated world for themselves that it takes them a long time to tell other people about it, usually younger people about it. But at the same time, I don't think that's terribly efficient either because they spend a lot of years there. And I understand it's good to have skills necessary to live on your own when you get old enough. But at the same time, I think it's a social education as much as anything else because a lot of what they seem to learn in school doesn't come from the classrooms and the subject matter. It seems to come just from interacting with their own kind.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it takes a while for humans here to tell each other things. So I can understand the idea of having a classroom, but at the same time, it's the rules that they've created themselves. So it seems a little perverse because something that is existing within itself cannot truly ever see itself because it's not outside of itself, it's not objective. So I think a lot of the things that are taught here in schools are quite subjective, but they don't know that they're subjective because they can't see themselves from the outside. So it's a little bit misleading, actually.
So would you consider attending any form of education here?
Well, that might be an interesting experience. Possibly. Because I do like to understand things here. Because if there's anything that I find upsetting here, it always helps me to try to understand where it's coming from, where the people are coming from, and to understand things from their point of view.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a little bit harder because the humans don't have antennae. I can get a reading on them, but it's not as clear as the other members of my planet. So I have to work harder to put myself in their fuzzy, clunky shoes.
Is there a subject that you would like to learn more about?
Possibly philosophy or astrology. Or is it astronomy? Astronomy?
I'm not sure.
The stars.
Okay. So human-based philosophy then?
Yes.
Do you know anything about it at all yet?
Not enough to be able to quote anything for you.
Mm-hmm.
But enough to know that I would be interested because I think there's a side to human nature that actually knows and understands everything. I think it's the shields that get in the way and make them think that they don't know what they're talking about or what they're thinking about.
Mm-hmm.
And they filter themselves, even within their own minds. But I think in the arts community, as you would say, and philosophy, I think that's when their filters are a little less filtery. So yes, I'd like to see that quite a bit.
Is this the only planet you visited, Snipy?
Yes, in this galaxy, at least. I've dabbled in a few others, but I keep coming back to this one.
What made you want to return?
Well, more recently, I suppose. It's been a while since I've been here. And I guess Sarah is a lot older now, and so am I. So I thought it might be nice to take a look and just see how everyone's doing, because I think when humans are young, they're more holistically themselves. I think when they're going through adolescence, they kind of turn into someone else for a minute and don't know who they are. But then I think once they're through that, they come back to their more initial self. So I wanted to revisit that.
How long will you be staying for now?
Not very long, but I can come and go. So if I decide to return, I can.
Do you have any plans for your stay here?
No, I guess I'm just taking it minute by minute.
Mm-hmm.
And last question, has this interview inspired you to research anything that we've discussed further or try something new?
I think I'd like to look into these arts subject matters more,
Mm-hmm.
particularly the performing arts. That sounds very interesting.
Well, I recommend you go see some more theater and museums and all of that good stuff. All right. Thank you, Snipy.
Thank you very much. I hope to see you again soon.
We hope to see you on the O Network or whatever ends up picking this up. Thank you.
Thank you.